Hi, everyone. This is Jason from Eye-Kraft. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about SpecCheck. SpecCheck is Eye-Kraft's new online ordering portal system that we'll be using starting on November 1st. You've probably received pop-ups and emails and job stuffers and all kinds of stuff about SpecCheck, but I thought I'd go through and highlight how to order in SpecCheck and a few other functions of the system. I'm really excited about this system. I think it's going to be great for users and for the lab. And I'd like to go ahead and showcase SpecCheck for you right now. So let's go ahead and get logged in and take a look. So as we log into SpecCheck, you'll see the work in process page, and this is the first thing that ECPs will see when they log into the system. The neat thing about SpecCheck is that the work in process page shows everything that's in process, including jobs that you phoned in or jobs that was faxed, or if you sent something through Vision Web. All of your work in process is going to be visible in here. So, if anything, you can use SpecCheck to log in and see your work in process. The order status that you see for your jobs in process is actually updated frequently throughout the day. So instead of relying on an email that was current as of last night, now you can see real-time job in process in your SpecCheck orders. So that's pretty neat. If you're looking in your work in process, you can also select an order. You can see the order details. You can also go back and find your older jobs. And if you have a duplicate order, if you have a pair 50 that you're ready to put in, or the patient just came in and there's another order, or even something from months ago, you can go in and find it replicated here as well. You can also put your redos in from this screen as well. And then the packing slip function prints out a packing slip for you to send your frames to come to us, which we really like. So as we go back to our work in process screen, you can also search. So if you're looking for a specific patient, type that patient's information in here. It'll find it in your history and pull it up so that you can replicate it like we just talked about. So that's the work in process screen. This alone, I think, has been one of the biggest questions that we've been asked about our current online portal is, great, I submitted an order and now can I track it? The answer is yes, now you can do that. So let's go ahead and create an order in SpecCheck. To start an order in SpecCheck, we're going to click on the Create Order button in the left-hand pane of the SpecCheck portal. And the overview screen comes up for the beginning of our order. So in this screen, everything is relatively self-explanatory. We're going to put in the patient's first name and last name. The patient email address can be useful if you want to send them a note specifying when the order has been submitted. You can also do a few other things with patient notifications with a patient email address. We're going to skip that on this order and tab over to the order type. For the order type, we're going to put in a UCare order today. And for UCare, we're going to do an edge and mount, which means we're going to edge those lenses and put it into the frame. It's a new UCare order. And then down here, we're going to select the insurance order toggle switch. The ship directly to patient is not a function that we're using at this time, so you can just ignore that. But we will click on insurance order. When we highlight the insurance order, we can choose the provider here. So this is a UCare order. Need to make sure we select the date of service, and we'll say that was today. And then the birth date for the patient, just like on all of our UCare orders. So we're going to go back to, let's say, 2008. February 4th is this patient's birthday. Make sure we input the full patient's member identification number. Any prior authorizations that have been processed, we need to make sure that we include that in this field. The street address for the patient. The city. The state is Minnesota. And the postal code is 56303. There are 3 fields for diagnostic codes on this page. If you have a patient that requires a diagnostic code for a non-covered benefit or other exception, you can provide those diagnostic codes here. Some examples include the photophobia diagnostic code and others. We don't need any exam only or dispensing only diagnostic codes. Only diagnostic codes that pertain to the materials for the job for our managed care products. So once we have the patient's information loaded into this screen, we're going to go ahead and up in the top left, we're going to click, or top right, we're going to click next. And that brings us to the prescription. So SpecCheck is a very linear and flow-based entry screen. So when we use our initial selections, it's going to kind of guide us the rest of the way through the process. I'm going to choose a multifocal on this screen. We're just going to put in a +2 RX with a 2 add on a 16 high seg height with 31 millimeter monocular PDs. Right. So this is our prescription. Pretty quick, pretty easy. Down underneath the prescription, you can add prism. If you need to add prism for the order, you can specify your base curve. You can also specify lens thickness, and the lab will try and do best and closest match to your lens thickness. Other options here include doing a balanced lens or doing a single lens only. Now, as we move down towards the next section in the lens style, this is very interesting because we can choose in this drop down what lens style we want to use. But the really neat thing about SpecCheck is that it learns our most used items. So on a UCare order, eventually it's going to learn that you like to use the flat top 28, single vision, and maybe a trifocal. And it's going to give you your popular styles down here. So SpecCheck kind of learns as you go, which is really nice, especially on your private pay work. As we choose the flat top 28, let's just say that I didn't want the flat top 28 and I wanted a different lens. You can also use the drop down to find the lens that you want. Say it was the flat top 35, but let's say that that's not what we wanted, and I don't want to do the drop down either. Let's just look for bifocals, and there's the round 24 that I wanted. So lots of different ways that you can dial into the lens style that you like. The materials section works just the same. It will learn as you go. Let's just say I want to do CR39 on this order. So CR39 is our selection there. We're going to select the CR39. Now, you notice that the CR39 was the only option it gave us on the round 24 bifocal. That's the only thing that's available on that lens. So let's step back, and I don't actually want the round 24. I actually do want the 7x28 or the flat top 28. So I'm going to choose that. And now I'm going to refresh my materials, and now my materials include all of the materials that are available. So let's just choose polycarbonate. And as you build this, again, your materials will give you the suggestions of those materials that you use the most. As we move to the next field, this is our lens add-ons. So if we want to use a photochromic lens or other lens material add-ons, approved tints, approved photochromics. Remember that for UCare Medica and South Country, you have to be careful that the patient has coverage for those items, but this is where you will add those or not. And we'll keep this one clear. Services include chemistry clips and polished edges, other items that we can add to the order as well. SpecCheck has some error proofing, so let's just say we forgot our PDs. It's not going to let us move on. It's not going to let us click next until we've fixed the issue that we have. And once we have our prescription loaded, we're going to hit next. And now we're into the frame entry screen. This is also kind of a neat function. We can do the frames data assist, where we can choose our manufacturer. Let's choose our preferred manufacturer of Global Optique. We know that the Contessa collection contains the LPO22, which is what I want to use. It also gives us our available colors and the available eye sizes for this order. We're going to load those in. I'm going to make sure that in the frame handling section, we choose Supply with RX for our managed care orders. And then we're going to select metal for this frame because we know it's a metal edge. Always remember that we're including a color on the order. So if we hand key our frame information, don't forget the color so that we can have the information we need to pull your frame. Once you have your frame selected, if you have special instructions you want to include in this order, you can type them in here and these will be transmitted to the lab. If you type a special instruction, it goes into a special queue that has a person review the job. So if the special instructions are necessarily, absolutely put them in there. If they're not quite so necessary, don't put notes in this field, and your job will move much faster through the laboratory. Well, once we've got all our information in here, we're going to click Next, and this is the review screen. It'll give us a review of the order as keyed. We can make sure that we've got all the information for the patient, the prescription information, and everything else. And if we're good to go, we can click on Submit. Now the order has been created. At this point, if this was a frame to come job, you can print the packing slip, or you can start a new order, or you can exit out, and it shows you your order as a status of pending, right? So now we can go back to our work in process screen, and you can see that the order we just submitted is now pending. So if we wanted to create a private pay order, the only difference between what we just did was, instead of toggling the insurance order on and off, we just leave this off and move through the process just like we normally would. So that's a quick overview of ordering in SpecCheck. One last thing I want to take a quick look at is the lab pay pane. So with SpecCheck, Eye-Kraft is going to be doing all of our credit card processing through SpecCheck itself. Accounts will be able to log in and make a payment, a single payment, or set up auto pay to pay their bills automatically on a credit card every month before the 10th to make sure you get your volume discounts. When you insert a payment method in SpecCheck, the payment method is not retrievable. It's not stored. And the only thing that you'll be able to see on that payment method in payment history or anything else are going to be the last 4 digits of the card. It's very secure. And the other neat thing about Lab Pay is that you can also view and retrieve statements from July 2024 forward. This is a pretty neat feature where you'll be able to go in and see your statement basically on the last day of the month in the evening after we shut down the lab. So thanks for spending a few minutes with me to go through SpecCheck. I hope this has been helpful. If you made it this far, then thank you very much. I really appreciate everything that you do for and with Eye-Kraft. We appreciate all our customers, and SpecCheck is going to be one more thing that we've put out there that we're hoping will make your lives easier, and working with the lab easier as well. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.